I remember when I was 10 years old and my dad took me to Circuit City to buy me a PlayStation 2 and any game I wanted as a graduation gift. The instant I got there, I paced up and down the PlayStation 2 section until I found the game that had been on my list since I'd first seen a commercial for it. And that game was Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. Sly Cooper to me is not only a classic PlayStation 2 game, but also one of the best games ever made for the system. The first time I was introduced to Sly Cooper was when I was staying up late watching TV with my cousin, and I saw a commercial for a game with a raccoon who had amazing acrobatic skills, an awesome weapon, and he got to go to some pretty kick-ass locations as well. I have always remembered that commercial to this date, and playing through the game this past week just brought me back to when I was a kid with a new game, and my whole summer was going to be based around beating this one game that I had. Alright, so enough about me, let's just get to the game now. Well, the basic story of the game is that you play as Sly Cooper, a thief from a long line of master thieves who's trying to reclaim the pages of his family's thieving legacy known as the Thievius Raccoonus. And throughout the game, you're going to need to go to various locations all over the world to track down each member of the gang known as the Fiendish Five and defeat each one of them to restore your family's honor and prove yourself worthy of being the next master thief in the Cooper thieving line. What can I say about the design of the game? Well, for starters, I'm going to say that this is a great game to look at and to play. I for one have always felt that the game had a cartoonish yet surreal design to it, and that's what I've always loved about the Sly Cooper games. They have their own unique look and feel to them that no other game can match. Like the design of the gameplay itself is equally as brilliant. Unlike most platformers where you have a simple linear path to victory, Sly Cooper gives you plenty of missions to complete in the order of your choosing, something that would make it into future Sly Cooper titles. From the beginning, Sly does have a few cool moves, and as the game goes on you can get more moves to help you out. You do this by collecting bottles with question marks known as clues. If you find all the clues in the area, you can open a safe and get yourself some new abilities. When I played this as a kid, I spent hours going back through each area I might have missed just to get some clues I left behind. And keep in mind, this was over a decade ago and I didn't use any strategy guides or online help. If anything, I would usually just make myself a map to where each clue was in the game. You see, I always liked to beat games authentically as a kid, and I always felt cheap if I used game guides, online help, or Game Shark to help beat a game. The whole point of beating a game was to beat it with your own skills and techniques that you develop when you're playing the game. Anyway, the stages in the game were pretty cool. One of my favorite stages in the whole game was the mugshot stage in Mesa City. I always liked the detail of the buildings and how cool it looked when Sly was scaling most of the rooftops in this level. And to be honest, this stage does have more climbing and more platforming than most of the stages later on in the game. Yes, I know, there's other areas where you can do things like that, like the rail slide move. But this stage occurs right after the Raleigh stage and after you've already acquired the Ninja Spire jump. Some of the other stages are the ocean stage where you fight Raleigh, the swamps where you're going after Miss Ruby, and the mountains of China where you have a run-in with the Panda King. I want to say that my second favorite stage in the whole game was the Panda King stages because it's pretty challenging and it really tests what you've learned so far from the game. I like the other stages of the game, but just not as much as mugshots or the Panda Kings. As for the game's difficulty, it's not too hard of a game, if you know what you're doing, that is. Most of the bosses are actually pretty easy to beat. I remember beating Raleigh so much as a kid that beating him as an adult was no problem. But going up against Mugshot got my blood pumping because I could rarely dodge his bullets, and when you go up to the second platform to fight him a second round, you're lucky if you have a horseshoe left to save you. But when you make it to the third platform, you can beat him no problem. Now as for Miss Ruby, don't get me started on how much I hate this boss battle. As a kid, this battle drove me to the brink of insanity, and 10 years later, it still does. The way this boss battle works is that you have to tap the buttons to dodge her attacks when they come close to you. It may seem easy, but it gets needlessly hard as you continue. I still rank this as one of the most unforgiving boss battles in all my years of gaming. I know I may sound like I'm whining too much about this, but if you haven't played, you have no idea what it's like. I swear to God, there have been times when I hit the right button at the right time, and it still counts as a miss. I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but it certainly does irritate me even to this date. The Panda King is surprisingly the easiest boss in the whole game. All you have to do is get close enough to hit him and start swinging when he talks, and then when he attacks, you just dodge and repeat. Do the same steps over again until he's down. So what do I not like about this game? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys and tell you that there's only 2 missions out of the whole game that I truly hate. The first one is when you're in the swamp stage and you have to round up chickens for a ghost. But while you're trying to catch all the chickens, there's roosters with dynamite running around the chicken coop, and the only way to get rid of them is to get them to collide with each other. And on top of that, there's a time limit. I just didn't like this level, and it still haunts me to this day. The other level I hated was near the end of the game when you're in the team van and you have to smash 60 computers to move on to the next area. It sounds easy enough, but all these fire slugs are coming out of the lava and they're racing you to see who can get to 60 computers first. You try everything you can to hurry up, but they'll sometimes smash at least 4 computers while you're driving around like crazy just trying to find one. But all complaints aside, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus is my favorite Sly Cooper game. There's just too much to love about this game for me to hate it. Moving on. After the success of the first Sly Cooper game, we were granted 2 sequels, Band of Thieves and Honor Among Thieves, which are both great games that I highly recommend getting. After Honor Among Thieves, we waited patiently for Sucker Punch to bring us another Sly Cooper game, but we all know that this didn't happen. After Honor Among Thieves was completed, Sucker Punch put all their efforts into their Infamous game series. If you played either Infamous games, you can find little nods of Sly Cooper hidden all over the game. Anyway, it would be years until we found out that the next Sly game was being put into production, only it was going to be developed by Sanzaru Games, the same company that ported all 3 Sly games into the Sly Cooper collection. All I can say is that I am definitely looking forward to seeing what they have ready for us when Sly 4 Thieves in Time is released next year. I have seen a lot of the footage of what they've done already, and I can see that they are treating this title with much care, and that the gameplay isn't straying too far from the original games. Well, that's all for now, kids. If you like what you saw, then please subscribe, and if you have any games you want me to review, then just message me in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.